Township Board for May 21st to order. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. George, will you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. All right. Mike Shorten. Here.
Sheila Ellis.
Here.
Karen Tynes. Absent. Bob Murray.
Here.
Joe Britannic.
Here.
Rob Parrish.
Here.
Mark Zemski. Absent. Kyle Wessinger. Here.
Thank you. Board member comments, I'll start off. Obviously, we're 2 days in. Not a lot to tell you other than we're trying to figure out what we need to figure out. My intent going forward is not to have 7:30 a.m. special meetings and not to have special meetings unless they're absolutely necessary. As I work through what's been going on in the office and what needs to happen in the office, I will call special meetings if we absolutely need them from a business function standpoint. And certainly item number 6A on the agenda was a business critical function, so needed to get this done. One of the things that I am going to do moving forward, and kind of my overall goal, and I talked to Sheila about this and probably a couple of you others, is to make sure that the operations of the township are survivable, meaning if something happens to me, I just decide to quit, that the next person stepping in has some sort of a guide to help them move forward. So in this case, item 6A probably should have been handled during the May meeting at the Township Board. It didn't, but it's here or there, so we're going to address it today. Beyond that, I have no further comment. Joe?
Mm-mm.
Sheila?
No.
Bob?
Nope.
Kyle? No. Rob, do you want to add anything?
Just that we were going to approve the budgets and appropriations for the road district this year. I don't know where they're at right now because the warrants for payments that are coming in from the last month, there's some are crazy. I mean, there's like $150,000 concrete bill that's coming in from one of the contractors.
Right.
You know, there's all kinds of things out there. It's just they're coming in and very few people knew about them.
Okay.
So the appropriations that we're gonna go forward with today, those numbers may move around a little bit throughout the year for us to catch up. So it's not that we're gonna use any more money, we're just gonna use it out of a different fund. So
Okay.
we'll work on it as we go. That's it.
Thank you. Public comment? Probably you're the only member of the public. Nothing?
No.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on to new business. Item 6A is a resolution number 05-21-2501, assigning Mike Shorten as a signature of record for Nunda Township banking accounts. I need a motion and a second.
I would motion. Go ahead.
You go and I'll second.
I'll motion.
Joe makes a motion, Sheila seconds. Open for discussion.
Makes the most sense having you on there.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot to say about that.
I appreciate the support.
Where are the accounts held?
Currently, they're at Wakanda Community Bank. I've had initial discussions with Home State about moving it back there. The accounts were there up until about 12 years ago, and I'm not sure the reasoning behind moving them to Wakanda, but they did. I think it makes more sense to have them here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but nothing definitive on that. We'll probably need your approval to make that change, and we'll have more details on that as we move forward.
So that'd be a bridge to cross later.
What's it?
That'll be a bridge to cross later.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Small bridge.
Yeah, that's
A lot of traffic, but small bridge. I'm sorry.
If there's no other comments or questions, I'm gonna go ahead and have you do a roll call vote on this one.
Okay. When I call your name, you're gonna say yes, no, or abstain. Mike Shorten,
Yes.
Sheila Hallis,
Yes.
Karen Tynes is absent, Bob Murray,
Yes.
Joe Botanic.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is 6B, resolution number 05-21-2502, authorizing the township supervisor to enter into an agreement with Zurkowski, Rogers, Flood, and McCardle as township attorney and approving termination of agreement with Ansel Glink. I need a motion and a second.
I'll move.
Bob made the motion.
I can second that.
Joe second.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start off from a discussion standpoint. I included in your package this morning copies of the only thing that Ansel Glink was able to provide as far as contractual agreement, which dates back to 2013. From a historical perspective, John Heisler was the supervisor. He resigned after he was removed from the ballot in 2012, and Jim Schlater was a temporary supervisor. The board at that time made a decision to replace the attorney. They brought in Ansel Glink. Ansel Glink's been the attorney of record since. It's my point of view, and this is an advising consent. So essentially, I bring forward a recommendation, and you guys are either yes or no. Effectively, with Ansel Glink, the termination of the agreement would be an email saying that we're no longer going to use your services, and then we have an agreement that was in the packet for Zurkowski. Now, I have Brandy Quatz from Zurkowski. Brandy, if you want to introduce yourself and song and dance, whatever you have prepared. If you don't have anything prepared,
I
then
don't sing or dance very often. I've been a lawyer since 2001. I've been with Zukowski's office since 2019. I was at the state's attorney's office on the civil side before that. So it's weird to say that I have more than 20 years experience. It makes me very, very old, but that's okay. So we have, our office primarily does government law. That's what we do. That's our bread and butter. We have, I would say, we represent more than 30 governmental entities, and I think that that's probably low. So if you have any specific questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific.
Is it the same amount of money as the other one? If anybody asks me, I'm gonna be voting yes, but
sure.
I'm just curious.
So the rate that was in the contract, you can tell me, or I can look it up.
210.
$210 an hour, billed by the quarter hour? Okay. The letter from 2013, at the time, Ansel Glink was, I believe, $190 an hour. I'm sorry,
Yeah, 190 for associates.
yeah, 205
Per hour for partners.
For partners and senior associates, 190 for associates, 130 per hour for paralegal services.
That was 12 years ago.
That was 12
A
years
little
ago.
over.
Yeah. So, probably, shouldn't have told you that, but it's too late.
Government rates are low.
Yeah.
Ours is pretty much 210 across the board, so
Yeah.
we wouldn't charge you more, and then
So they're gonna
you
be,
guys
they're
find
gonna
out that we
be
charge someone else
relative.
less.
Yes.
They're gonna be close.
Yeah. Our annual budget for legal services is $20,000 a year. I don't anticipate that we'll need to expend that amount. We will probably, I'll have some initial consultations about items as we get started here, make sure that I'm doing things correctly, because while I served on the board for 4 years and Mr. Parrish served on the board for 8 years, I want to make sure that our ingrained understanding of how things should work is correct, just so we keep ourselves out of the courtroom and out of jail. We have the option of having an attorney at every single meeting, and that's something that we as a board can make a decision on. If there's items that are not of controversy, I don't necessarily see a need for it.
Yeah.
Certainly, any of us on this board can consult with the attorney if we have any questions. Just be conscious that, you know, what the billing rate is. So,
Mike, are there any major differences between this contract and the Ansel Link one?
well, the Ansel Link contract is not really a contract. It was a proposal for legal services, and when I requested a copy of any agreement from Mr. Kuba, there was none. This was the only thing that he was able to provide.
Our contract, I don't remember what the termination provision was, but if you want to terminate us, you can.
Yeah,
There's
but-
no long.
60 days.
Yeah, there's no term where you have to keep us for a certain amount of time or anything. Our theory is if you don't want us to be your legal counsel, then you should not have us as your legal counsel,
Yeah.
so. And we'll provide, if we need to terminate for some reason, I think that there's a 60-day provision in there just so that you guys have time to get somebody else lined up.
Yeah, the line's one up.
Yeah, look pretty standard otherwise.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call?
Mike Shorten,
Yes.
Sheila House,
Yes.
Karen Tynes is absent. Bob Murray,
Yes.
Joe Botanic.
Yes.
Okay, item 6C,
Welcome to
approval.
our new family.
Approval of budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2025-2026 road district budgets. Need a motion and a second?
All motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Parrish kind of already addressed the budget. This is the budget that was presented by the previous highway commissioner, and, well, I'll let you, anything?
We couldn't vote it in because there weren't enough members at the board meetings when the other two trustees bailed out and they weren't replaced. A board of 5 has to have 3 votes.
Sure.
They couldn't get to the 3 votes because I was going to abstain, because I can't guarantee this is the numbers that I'm gonna stay within the compliance of the budget numbers, you know, like I said. We're gonna have to do a little bit of a shell game to move stuff around to stay under the aggregate total and be able to balance out our needs. So some of the things have been drastically spent down here in the last 45 days.
And then have you even, now that you're on the account, have you been able to see that this is correct?
The dollar figures?
Yeah.
I haven't been in the account yet.
Okay. It's good to know that that's correct, too.
I believe the math is correct.
Is it? Okay.
This is what we're working, these are the
Kind of
line items
vague,
we're working
yeah.
out of, you know. Banking wise, no, I haven't seen that either. I haven't seen all the warrants for payment either, they're all trickling in.
Yeah, or you see what's coming in. Yeah,
Correct.
you have no idea
Yes.
how much is coming off. Yeah,
Right.
sure,
Yeah.
right off the bat.
There's been some surprises, but it's, you know,
Lovely.
those days are over with.
Okay.
Haven't figured out how big of a bucket you need yet
How do I?
how big of a bucket you need to bail out?
I don't need to bail out, I just gotta get it balanced out,
Yeah.
so, more of a seesaw.
And if I have just a couple questions on things that I just don't understand, I'm gonna vote for it, but do I just ask now?
Sure.
Like, the
If I have
traffic
answer.
fines, how do those work when there's $7,667? Is that
Is
a
that on the
typical
revenue side or
year?
the,
It's a revenue.
revenue.
Like, where does that come in from?
I don't know where he's got it, if it's overweight tickets or if it's, maybe Brandy may even know that. It's revenues from fines that come into the township road district. I mean, that's the
How
only
does
thing.
that
There's
work?
overweight tickets, people who are on the wrong weighted roads and don't have the right permits and stuff like
And
that.
who issues it? Who issues the tickets?
I would assume it comes from the sheriff, but then we're the ones that get paid as the, so.
Okay.
So, I'm unclear on that one.
He's just saying if one of the guys gets pulled over.
Yeah,
No,
one
I'm
of the
saying,
trucks
I'm
or-
saying if they're coming to work on Joe's house and if your road is posted at 5 ton.
Yep.
And they try to bring a 72,000 pound lowboy down there with an excavator
Right.
on it without the proper permit,
So
he's
it's,
damaged our roads.
yeah, so citations that occur within the township.
I believe so, I
Okay.
believe so.
Thanks.
And the McRide dues, how does the McRide work? When we're getting $50 of bus fares in and then the dues are $5,000, how does
I think
McRide
the
work?
5,000 is the expenses that they've incurred, and the 50 coming in. McRide is being terminated at the county level. For some reason, we still have 2 buses, I don't know. They're switching over to a McUber, which is much cheaper per individual, and it's instant use, where McBride is, you have to be sometimes weeks out ahead to use it. Yeah, I know you're familiar with them.
I'm gonna correct you a little bit.
Please.
There's no termination of McBride at this point. The Uber program is a pilot program that, right now, the PACE holds the contract, manages the contract for the county, but the county is paying for the government assistance portion of it. And there's a qualification process you have to go through in order to get qualified. I believe it's the first $20 of a Uber trip, and there's some other rideshare services associated that I think they're better equipped to deal with people in wheelchairs and that sort of thing. So the dial-a-ride itself is not going away, but
It is at the township facilitating the rides.
okay. Have you guys
Still-
been doing it?
I think that's the expenses, it's the hit and miss of people that still call in
Okay.
and looking for something, and we still
Okay.
own the van, and we still,
I think Brandy might have some
Go
background.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, usually the way that they do an intergovernmental agreement with all the entities that use the rideshare program, and then they base it on like your general population, and that's usually how they come up with fees. So like if you're,
Like
have a Crystal Lake that participates, they're going to have, I think their fees are probably 40,000 or more, versus the township's got a lower population. So that's how they come up with the fees, and there's an IGA for that, and it's probably online with the county.
And do we pay the county? Is that where the 5,000 goes?
It's through the Department of Transportation, the county's Department of Transportation.
Historically, the dial-a-ride program, or the bus programs used to be run strictly by the townships, and then the county kind of came in with a centralized program, because the challenge with the township bus programs is really, you can only transport within the township. There are still townships that I believe operate limited capacity. We'll call it dial-a-ride, but it's not officially dial-a-ride, where they're, trying to service people that maybe can't use the McRide capabilities. So again, that's why the Uber program is being tested, because it is more on demand. The cost per ride on the dial-a-ride are higher than an Uber. So that's kind of the direction that we're looking at right now.
My only other question, the recycling that's $24,000, is there any income that we get from recycling, or it just costs us $24,000?
minimal. I mean, the steel that they take up to bear, and they get the nominal amount for that, is the only income source on that side that I'm aware of. So, we found a little dumpster diving goes on there too, that was approved, and it stopped yesterday. We threw all the guardrails away, and it wasn't within 15 minutes, the guys in there taking it.
All-
Wait a minute,
all gone?
That's an asset to us. I said, that's revenue that we bring in for stuff like that, but it ends today. We're actually talking about moving the recycling inside the facility, putting it inside the fence, because of the amount of fly dumping that's been going on in there. Mattresses.
There's
furniture.
always people here too. Every time I've gone by at night or on a Saturday or a Sunday, there's cars and trucks lined up over
Yeah,
there.
that and the brush gets dumped all the way out to Bay Road, which we're gonna flip the bin the other way, so you gotta go through the gate, dump it, and that allows the guys to service it, and then they're gonna do the mulch over here and over here in this corner, the mulch pickup, so the loader always stays on campus and doesn't come out. You can service it that way.
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, aside from the unknowns that you mentioned about the budget, any major differences between this budget and the
Not that I'm
past?
aware of, no. It's the same numbers that he's put out the last couple of years, just a little bit of the moving of the permanent hard road and the road and bridge fund, and we hope to put those numbers back to historic values, so that the replacement tax is equal for the other municipalities again, so
Good, thanks.
people get their money back,
Yeah.
so.
Any other questions, comments?
Mm-mm.
Roll call vote, please.
Mike Shorten,
Yes.
Sheila House,
Yes,
Karen Tynes is absent, Bob Murray,
Yes.
Joe Botanic.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on, we have no old business, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Motion,
Second.
second, all in favor, say aye, any opposed? We're done.
Sweet. He's like getting that hammer, huh?
I love the hammer. I criticized Chairman Bueller for not using the hammer.
It's not even-
He will not acquiesce.
It's hammer.
Where's their hammer? I didn't know. Oh. How you doing?
The tens of people are
Thanks,
watching.
thanks for watching.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in today.
Back in 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Next time.